the only podcast that can go all in this year. It's Whacked Out Wrestling. Normally, we would have a bigger start on this one, but unfortunately, we have some things for tribute as well to start with our Song of the Week, or one of our Songs of the Week this week. This week, we had the news that the Afterlife Wrestling Federation has signed announcer Mean Gene Okerlund to a deal. Okerlund was 76 and was one of the voices of all of our childhoods. In honor of that, we have Okerlund's music single, and we'll be playing that as the first song of the week this week to honor his life and legacy.
Is it ever gonna happen? Is it ever gonna be? Is it ever gonna happen? Maybe not to me. Oh, it's well, tell me. And I got a funny feeling. The feeling's going round. Got a funny feeling. Maybe not a time. And I know, tell me. Is it ever gonna happen? Is it ever gonna happen? Ever gonna happen? Is it ever gonna happen? Oh, well, tell me. Well, I got a funny feeling, feeling's going round. Hey, I got a funny feeling, baby, out of town. Get on it. Oh, now, tell me. Never gonna happen. Is it ever gonna happen? Ever gonna happen? Is it ever gonna happen? Now, well, tell me.
That was Gene Carroll with "Is It Ever Gonna Happen?" or Mean Gene Okerlund, and in his from the album In This Corner. This is Whacked Out Wrestling, and as always, I'm Thomas S.K. Green. With me, as always, is Joey the Caveman, and with us, as always, is our producer, John Roche.
Hey.
Happy New Year, you crazy marks.
Yep. And this is a big one because normally we would have went through on this one for other stuff, and we have a big deal thing anyway, and we have, for the first time ever, the Whacked Out Wrestling will be going all in this year. We will have the first live event for Whacked Out Wrestling June 8th, 2019 at the New England Fan Fest in Warwick, Rhode Island.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Yep. During this event, we will be going live from this one. We'll be making sure to have all your favorite fictional characters from Whacked Out Wrestling, and we're hoping to get more than 7 listeners when we go through on this.
We're hoping for about 8.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's aim high. Let's go for at least 10.
Yeah.
11-3.
11-3 could really work there, so let's just get the stuff on this one, because this was one of the...
Never gonna happen. That song's catchy as hell.
Yeah, well, that's one of the pluses with rockabilly on it. And that's
I love me some rockabilly. I did not know Mean Gene was a rockabilly singer back in the day, and I had a lot of love and respect for him, and that just multiplied by about 2-fold.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, Jimmy Hart was also kind of rockabilly and with the Gentrys, so...
Yeah, I mean, the only real song I knew from Jimmy Hart was "We Hate School."
Mm-hmm.
Why that hasn't been remade is beyond me.
Yeah, well, it was bigger for the fact that they had the song "Keep On Dancing," which was a huge hit for them. So,
right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to listen to that.
And that's a big enough hit so that you'd hear it played on oldies stations all the time. So,
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh.
So this week was pretty big on this one. We have the new era of Raw, the new era of SmackDown, and all the shit that happened during the week as well. And at least to this one with Okerlund on it, it still goes through. And they're finding from claims that may have been because of injuries and illnesses suffered from a fall he took earlier in about a month ago. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing was about that day is we also lost two other icons. We lost the captain from Captain and Tennille. But you know what? I mean, I'm not a fan of theirs. Here's the one that was really a bummer besides Mean Gene. Super Dave died.
Yeah, and that was a big
motherfucking Super Dave Osborne dying.
Yeah. Between Super Dave Osborne and Mean Gene Okerlund, it was a bad day for our childhoods.
You know what? I will own up and admit this. This is gonna make me sound like a complete idiot, but I did not know Super Dave Osborne was fake until I turned 30. Yeah. I am not making this up. I thought for sure the guy was a legit stunt man, other like Evel Knievel, and every time I'd see him crash, I'd be like, damn, this motherfucker has to be on so many painkillers, make Mick Foley blush.
Yeah.
And then I see him on Curb Your Enthusiasm and as Funkhauser, and I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell? And then I'm like, yeah, and my friend told me, yeah, he's an actor. So I'm like, wow. So for the first 30 years of my life, I thought Super Dave was legit.
Then it would probably be a blow to know he was Albert Brooks's brother then, right?
Wow. I mean, Bob Einstein was Albert Brooks's brother?
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't his real name, but
is in fact Albert Einstein.
Yes. Heck, it was even said that once upon a time when a friend of his he was the friend of like Carl Reiner, and he did a Tonight Show appearance, and he asked who are the funniest men in the world, and he said Mel Brooks was a 12-year-old kid named Albert Einstein.
And the funny thing is Super Dave, didn't he start out on the Smothers Brothers?
I believe he might have, yes. And it's
John Biner Comedy Hour, I think it was.
Yeah. And it's honestly kind of weird if it goes too, because it brings back, because Super Dave just seems like one of those guys who, it's honestly a shock that WWE never got him for at least one appearance. Like, he just seems like someone that WWE would have brought in.
Yeah, I mean, shit. I love this cartoon. You know what, El Rey, I wish El Rey should do this, but unfortunately Dish is being stupid with him. But El Rey should play a marathon of the 13-episode series that they had back in '92. And it was done by your wholesome family friends at Deke.
Yep.
So, I mean,
it was a good thing. We remind you, Whacked Out Wrestling loves the Deke. That didn't come out right, did it?
Oh no! Oh boy. Yeah. Well, anyway. So. Yeah. What happened on the Raw?
Okay, we started off with a second tape show on this one, and it started off with a steel cage match between Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, because everybody knows that if you want to get the ratings back, you got to go with Dolph Ziggler.
And what way to start a new era than continuing the feud that permeated in the last one?
Well, at least it was different because Ziggler and McIntyre did break up, and you have to try and blow off the feud. And if it's in a cage, that has to be the blow off.
Yeah, and I mean they gave Drew the win, which was good.
Yeah, because really, it just goes to the fact that Ziggler's basically done, and now they've made McIntyre. They've made him a star again, and now he's done with him, or he should be.
And right now, here's your weekly reminder that they need to change Ziggler right now back to his Southpaw Regional Wrestling character. Do an Amnesia angle and have him be that character, please, because he signed for another 5 years. Do something.
Yeah. Heck, if it goes through on it, do something, anything with him. Bring him to NXT to be the guy to sell for all those new guys on it. Have him go to become an announcer and see if his stand-up comedy can translate to being an announcer on it. Hell, give him comedy specials. His comedy sucks, but at least you have something with him. Just do something with the guy that is not putting him in the main event.
Johnny?
I was going to say make him Nick Namath again. I mean, that could only really be a step up. I mean, he was a former tag team champion in that angle.
Yeah.
Spirit Squad. And then before that, he was the caddy to Kerwin White.
Well,
oh, good lord.
It would be fine with them. I mean, the Spirit Squad showed up in 2016, and Kenny and Mikey still had their fastball. They could be a good three-man team for it. So.
And what happened to the other two?
Well, Nick Mitchell was apparently moved to Israel and found religion for it, and Johnny Jeter just prefers his day job in San Diego. So,
what's his day job?
I think he's a corporate recruiter or something like that.
Good for him.
Yeah, works on this one. And then we have the New Year's resolutions for everybody that probably won't happen for it. Finn Balor wants the Universal title back. Ember Moon wants to win the Royal Rumble. Ascension wants to bring back the Fashion Files. And Lucha House Party wants it to be their year. I don't know how it's going to be their year if they don't have any goals for it.
I'll co-sign on the Fashion Files coming back.
Yeah.
Everything else, no.
Yeah. I could see it. It would be nice if Finn Balor got the Universal title back, but it seems like that ship has sailed. I'm not 100% sure, but couldn't hurt if Ember Moon won the Royal Rumble. I'm not personally a fan of hers, but go for it if they want to. And
move into SmackDown and feud with AJ Styles. That's what I would do.
Yeah. And then we have the same stuff. What?
Finn Balor feuding with AJ Styles?
Mm-hmm.
If he gets moved to SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. Well, I could see it working. I mean, they're former Bullet Club members.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Former
they
leaders.
had a really good match at TLC after the mumps scare that they had a couple years ago. So they could have good chemistry, and it just writes itself. Finn Balor loves the gay community. AJ Styles doesn't.
The gay community.
Mm-hmm. So then you have Seth Rollins showing up, and he wants a rematch for the Intercontinental title, but they remember, oh yeah, those automatic rematches are gone, and so Seth Rollins doesn't get one, and which is actually for the best, because the big problem with this is that too much of the problems last year were that they overpowered the US and IC title. Hold up, I have some word from our friend Andrew McHale, friend of the show, and all these ones, and we have the Gooker Award nominees for this year.
Okay.
The Gooker Award nominees are Shane McMahon wins the Crown Jewel tournament as best in the world. Drake Maverick pees his pants. Kevin Owens rides in a porta potty. Sasha and Bayley have their therapy sessions. Crown Jewel, just Crown Jewel. Bobby Lashley and his sisters. Tag team champion Nicholas. Constable Corbin. Undertaker returns just to squash Cena. And Jim Neidhart's death is used as a feud point.
We're going to go with Shane, best in the world.
I don't know. I think that's going to be canceled out by Crown Jewel as a whole, because Shane McMahon winning the best in the world was a bad thing on it, but Crown Jewel as a whole was a bad thing.
Fair enough.
I want to believe that they gave Shane McMahon the best in the world because they were saying, okay, we can't deal with this. Let's kill the town. Let's put on a show so terrible that they won't want us to come back to Saudi Arabia.
And yet they're going to come back quite a few, like 20 times in the next 10 years.
Money, 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 money. It's actually going to be interesting just given them amount. You know they're getting $44 million for the one show on it. And allegedly, there's a $20 million bonus if Rock comes in as WWE champion for that. So
Right.
So those are actually interesting, though I don't think Rock could do it because Rock is not insane. So
Well, I remember when we were watching when Rock beat Cena and Raw came on and Rock did that announcement that he wanted to be the WWE champion one more time. You're like, oh, fuck you, Rock. Fuck you.
Yeah, and honestly, that was the problem because it was more a fact that if you're going to bring in the stars of the past, you need to have them put over the stars of the future. Really, that's the whole point. The show needs to be timeless, and I will give WWE that for a lot of their Super Show stuff, where they're trying to have dads matches like New Japan does, where they just let's give up on that and just have, if we have to have DX versus Undertaker and Kane, have DX face Undertaker and Kane, and not just have them both squash two up and coming teams and main eventers, which is refreshing. There's always a nice thing about having some dads matches around.
Yeah, I mean that's a cool thing about New Japan and how they do it. I mean, what I wonder is, okay, Tanahashi, who may or may not win the title tonight, he's 42, and I mean, you're thinking he's 8 years away from having dad's matches, but it begs the question, could Tanahashi still be a legit dude in New Japan in 8 years? I say yes.
I don't know, because Tanahashi had some elbow problems and had some issues there, so there is the question mark. And in Japan, they had guys like Jushin Liger who were also very good, but the reason they dads matches become the dads matches is because they become comedy guys, because it's funny because this guy is so old. And that's another part of the reason for the dads matches.
Say that again? I didn't get that.
Well, basically it's like the dads matches don't just happen to make legends matches, but rather because in Japan those are comedy matches as a whole, and it's like the joke is that this guy is so old and he's wrestling. And that's inherently funny to the Japanese fan base.
If they can go, they can go, though. I mean...
Yeah. Well, yeah, if they can go, they can go. I mean, the hottest...
I don't care if they're 50 or 20. If they can wrestle, if they can beat the Young Guns, what the hell?
Yeah, but that's also the case where if it's a comedy match and they change over to being comedy guys, it works. And we've seen that Jushin Liger has went from being a very good cruiserweight wrestler to a very good heavyweight wrestler to a very good face and a very good heel. And now he's settled in to become a very good comedy wrestler. So it is a good part if they can do it and can transfer over to do comedy well.
Absolutely. I see that.
Yeah. So back to Raw on this one. Instead of having these ones, they decide to go with a big battle royal to give someone a new star, and they didn't even have Rollins in the match because they were trying to give everybody a fresh start and give them a chance to win the title themselves, which again is a good thing because main eventers holding the US and IC title were a big problem.
Right.
I just feel like a mid-carder should be the Intercontinental title or the United States champion, so that, in theory, everybody on the roster has something to fight for.
Yeah.
And it would help there because Rollins even said, maybe he was mocking Mojo Rawley in the match, but it was also saying, yeah, I was fighting guys like Mojo Rawley too. Even they deserve a shot at this belt.
Rawley needs to get pushed. I mean, I like his energy. I like how he was getting momentum as a heel for a while, and then I think he got injured. That's why he hasn't been on TV, right?
Well, don't know if it's injured as much as the fact that they just didn't use him because they didn't use a lot of the mid-card for a lot of the time here.
Right. And then I seen the match, and Hawkins was in there. I was thinking, and he got close to winning. I was thinking, wait a second, are they actually going to give Hawkins the win? And this could be the start of a turnaround for him. It would have been cool to see Hawkins win it, and then Hawkins upset Ambrose.
That would be very interesting,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
honestly, I think there's more. I'd be more likely to assume that Hawkins' first win will be against Baron Corbin than anything. But it was still nice that they gave everybody on the undercard a chance to shine on this one.
Right. Good seeing Zack Ryder again.
Yeah. And that was his first match in a year on Raw, so.
Zack Ryder reminds me of D'Lo Brown in the sense of these are two guys that, for some reason, people think that D'Lo didn't get pushed after injuring Droz, and then Zack Ryder, people think that the WWE resented him for getting over without their permission. But but the point I'm trying to make is these two guys, if you look at a wrestler's career, most of the time when they're young, they're at their best, and then when they get old, from a ring work standpoint, they slow down. But I've always noticed with D'Lo and Zack Ryder, the later in their careers they go, the better they get from a ring work standpoint.
And honestly, that's one of the things where Ryder's win of the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania in Dallas was such a good reward on this one, because in 2011, he got over without permission. He went to the internet and decided, okay, I'm using the internet to be a star. He went Rogan a little bit and got the fans to get over and did that one. And he got over. He got the U.S. Championship, but lost everything. He was back to where he was within 6 weeks. And they bought his TV show, so he couldn't do it again. And that was a problem. But then Ryder grew up. He decided, if I'm going to get my big push, I'm going to do it the right way. He was willing to go to NXT, work with Mojo Rawley and get him over, work to try and become a better wrestler in the ring on it, worked and tried to bust his ass to do things the right way. And we saw that doing things the right way worked, because that's how the Usos rise to power in this one. And then eventually he made it to the Intercontinental title the second time, and there was not a dry eye in the house because everyone felt good for the dude.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's almost a good sign there as well. So before he was just a good opener, but now he's just a good, solid hand. And you always need good, solid hands in the company.
Yeah, I mean, I wish Ryder would get one more title reign, but we were talking about last week how supposedly the All-In gang, they were saying they wish they could have booked Zack Ryder. So it just tells me if Ryder ever leaves WWE, he is going to become a big star on the indies.
I don't know, because I think that Ryder's gotten a Zen-like acceptance of his spot in pro wrestling now, where Ryder may not be a big star in the indies, or he'll be like Kurt Hawkins was when he had his indie run, where Brian Myers worked Battle of Los Angeles. He tried really hard to be a top guy on the indie scene, but at the end of the day, he just wasn't very good. And so his bookings started to dry up and dry up and dry up, and finally said, screw it. WWE's a living. I'll go be a jobber for him. And more power to the guy.
Yeah, it goes back to some people. I mean, some people are good in WWE, suck in the indies. Some people are good on the indies, suck in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily their fault. It's just what promotions want to go for.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, it also depends on other things on it, because even if you are someone who would suck on the indie scene and would be good otherwise, there's always a chance for him. Like, for instance, Cody Rhodes could be argued like that, and the fact that he was allowed to join Bullet Club propped him up to this level, and now Cody Rhodes is one of the top guys on the indie scene.
We think CJ Parker / Juice Robinson, did he do anything before NXT?
He was on the independent scene in the Midwest. So
what was his name there?
Juice Robinson.
It was Juice. Wait a minute. He was Juice Robinson first, then CJ Parker, then back to Juice Robinson.
Yeah.
Oh damn! I thought the Juice Robinson name was something he was given in New Japan.
Nope. That was his name on the independent scene in the Midwest. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it is an example, and he's one of the people who bet on himself and decided, I'm never going to get pushed as long as I'm this good hand who they trust to work with the indie guys who come in, and I'm just never going to do anything. So I think I'm going to quit. I'm going to go out and I'm going to make myself that indie darling that you pay to get back in. And he did it. So more power to the guy.
Juice, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got signed by WWE again?
He didn't get signed by WWE again, but if Juice ever got signed by WWE, he would be a huge get for him.
How do you think EC3 is going to be on one of the big two? If you want to talk about people that start out NXT and then, decide to make themselves darlings. I mean, Impact isn't necessarily an indie, but there's another example.
Honestly, I think that I'm not sure how he's going to do on this one, because the big problem with EC3 and NXT is that NXT never truly explored the room with him. Like, for instance, with EC3, in TNA, he had this incredibly dynamic gimmick of, I'm the boss's nephew and I can do whatever I want for this stuff. And even if you don't like it, I'm good enough so I can back it up in the ring. And it was dynamic. It was excellent. It made him a superstar. And then in NXT, his whole gimmick seems to be, hey, everybody, look, it's Impact Wrestling star EC3, but he's in WWE. Aren't you excited?
And yet, I mean, we were talking about this last week now that I remember, and I came up with the best I could hope for is he would be the new $1 Million Man, which I think would work great for him.
Yeah. Honestly, though, the problem on it is the fact that with stuff like this, his gimmick would probably work better if they had some other way to explain it. Like, if they named his gimmick something like, say, Derek Helmsley III, you'd have everything on it. You'd pay back why he was Derek Bateman on it. You'd have a reason for him to be the same character as EC3. And remember, Triple H's gimmick when he started was that he was a very rich man himself. So it would make sense in storyline.
And yet the funny thing is that he somehow kept the EC3 name. Did he buy the rights to the character?
Well, basically what happened is after all the problems on this one where Ed Nordholm got raked through the coals about you won't give Matt Hardy back the rights to Broken Brilliance and let him have it. He was still getting problems there, but then the tipping point was that Rosemary was working as Courtney Rush on the indie dates, and Nordholm said, why are you doing that? Just be Rosemary. And she said, look, I'd love to be Rosemary, but Rosemary's owned by TNA, and I need to keep Courtney Rush valid so that I can go to the indie scene whenever I leave and go and be myself again. And said, shit, that's bullshit. Go be Rosemary. We'll give you the gimmick. And Nordholm changed Impact's policy after that to say, okay, from now on, we're giving the rights to your gimmicks to anybody who signs with us. And a week later, they allowed Broken Matt to become Broken Matt in WWE. So that's about the time period.
And I mean, with the Alley's World storyline, Rosemary brought the Courtney Rush gimmick back, and she's got Twitter for Courtney Rush. Has she been booked as Courtney Rush anywhere? Is she now legit doing a Muta type deal?
I don't know if she has been booked as that one since they allowed her to use the gimmick, but I know that beforehand she was working as Courtney Rush on the indies, but working as Rosemary in TNA.
No, I know that, but I mean, I wonder if she's gonna get booked anymore as Courtney Rush. I mean, since she's doing Twitter. Like, I'm looking at her Twitter right now. She just posted something like a few hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
So she's gotta be doing a show soon, right? As Courtney.
Well, isn't she injured right now, or did she come back? I'm not sure.
She's still injured, but I think she's on her way back soon. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking when she does come back, she's got to take bookings as both. And with what they did with Allie's World in the storyline, there is potential right there.
Yeah, and that could be interesting if they just had, okay, Allie becomes insane and falls to it, and then Rosemary goes to the sane and replaces her as that. That could be a fun gimmick. So,
well, right now, last I heard, like Allie's been possessed. has lost their soul. I haven't watched Impact in a while because it comes on at 10 fucking o'clock. Thanks a lot, Pop TV, you fucking assholes.
Don't worry, it's going to be worse on this one now that they're going to be off Pop TV in a week or so.
When are they going to switch to that other channel?
I think with it on the 14th or 13th, so.
What's the other channel again?
Pursuit.
So when are they going to switch, you said?
I don't know. I think it's the 14th.
January 14th?
Yeah.
What time?
It's probably going to be after SmackDown at 2, or at least I think 7.
Wait a minute, you said it's going to be on the 14th?
Hold on, let me check on that.
That's a Monday. They're going to be fucked if they go against Raw.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I know they're saying that they're going to be going after the show, so just checking it right. It's going to be January 11th that they start out, so next week.
Next Friday.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to be double fucked because they're going against New Japan and women's wrestling.
Yeah, no, it's Friday night at 10 p.m., so.
What time?
So it'll be Fridays at 10 p.m.
Oh, okay. So, okay, hypothetically, you can watch New Japan, then women's wrestling, then Impact. Okay, I can get behind that. That sounds cool.
Yeah. And if it doesn't work, there's always the Pluto TV app, which allows you to watch Impact Wrestling for free on it. So there's also that benefit as well.
Hey, I want to read a Twitter comment from Courtney Rush.
Okay.
The lovely Miss Rush just tweeted something that's very intriguing, and I am going to quote it right now. The lovely Miss Rush says, and I quote, "Guys, time is non-linear. Rewatching Empire Records. I am confident that we can get to a place where music and art connects us all, no matter what genre, lifestyle. That end convo with Mark and Eddie also was the 90s, and I wasn't possessed yet. And Johnny Whitworth, wow."
Mm-hmm.
That's a smart woman right there.
Yep. But yeah, it does. Meanwhile, it is going on this one, and early reports on the Gooker Awards say that this might be the biggest blowout since 2000. The leader at Crown Jewel's pay-per-view is on 56, and the second is only at 10, and it started today. So this looks like it's going to be a romp for Crown Jewel.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the ultimate fuck you, WWE, and fuck you, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, because anytime you have to have a pay-per-view, which it happens to shortly after you murdered an American citizen for being controversial against you and saying things against you, and then you proceed to do it by doing every move on the thing to piss off fans all around, you have to do it, right?
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I'm almost wondering, when is WWE going to do a show from Afghanistan?
I think they did it during the Tribute to the Troops era, so.
You're right. Now I remember JBL actually came out looking like an asshole in like a spaceman suit or something.
Yep. And so it goes back on this one, and is said for the Battle Royal on this one. Apollo Crews eliminates 8 people, and then he goes to the whole point, and he wins a shot at the title today.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then you go through, and Natalya talks about the year and gets beaten up by Nia Jackson.
Shit! I'm so sorry, man.
No problem.
Sorry. I was trying to mute something, and my computer decided to be a dumbass, so I just channeled Tourette's guy right there.
Yeah. No problem.
No Tourette's guy video this Christmas. Damn it.
Yeah, Bob Saget.
Piss.
Mm-hmm. But yes. Then afterwards, you had stuff for Baron Corbin cutting a promo afterwards and talked about how his job was so hard He had so much to do, which was a problem. And then Elias comes back and cuts a promo against him. So they have a fight there, and it just goes normal on it. Elias is the babyface. Corbin is an asshole.
Yeah, Corbin is now. When does Corbin's contract run out?
I don't know off the top of my head, and it's kind of weird because Corbin's kind of a decent enough upper mid card heel for it, so he is good at what he does for it. At least,
Right.
Yeah, he's not great, but he's not terrible in his role. And there's always a place for someone who's hated by the fans.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and if the person's hated for not being good, but they're actually kind of underrated by the fans on it, so much the better.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like something I read once about Rick Rude.
Mm-hmm.
Millions hated him. He did his job well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also the plus in this modern era where a lot of the times people are hated because they're inept at their job instead of hated because they did their job well as heels. And if they do their job really well as heels, then people start to like them, and that means that inadvertently they didn't do their job well as heels. So, right, and that leads to all the problems of this era where you have heels who are heels not because they're good at their job, but because they're inept at their job. So the important one, and that's why I said, for example, the Iconics or Corbin is good examples for top heels of it, were the people who are heels not because they're inept at their job, but because they're just good enough to let you think they're bad.
Yep.
And that really works on it because there needs to be some people who are good in the straightforward old school sense and not the, you suck! Do more flips! America.
You know, I mean, if you want to talk about heel, I mean, if you want to talk about like complete heels, like with this age in popular culture where everyone is now rebelling against political correctness, how far are we from doing some really, really fucked up shit like doing like a murder angle in wrestling or something?
Honestly, I think we're never going to get that far into political incorrectness, because even if you have things like politically correct angles or stuff like that, it's a problem where most fans and wrestlers wouldn't want to do something like that, and something that pushes that many envelopes would be a problem. Like, plus there's also the weakness of stuff like they tried doing a murder angle with the Vince McMahon limo explosion, and then 2 weeks later it blew up in their face when Chris Benoit actually did murder people.
Right. That was what shitty timing.
Well, it's not just shitty timing, but that's also the issue on it, where it just is the same way that they had the Owen voice and used it for so many problems for when a big angle happened, and just go with the, oh God, this is not part of the show. This is terrible. I don't know what happens. Maybe even dropping their real life name to go with this stuff. And it's like, don't do that. That's the type of thing you need to save so that people know when it's not an angle, and if you don't do them there, they'll never trust you again.
Yep. Such bad timing with the Benoit tribute. Such bad timing with the Benoit tribute show where they started out where he was turning out, we thought he was innocent. Then as the show went on, more and more details came out. I remember going to WWE.com, and at the beginning of the show, they had a nice tribute. And then by the end of the show, they had a picture of Benoit in black with a black background, really basically washing their hands with them. That was a very bizarre day.
Not only that, but even the episode, if you remember it, you can pinpoint the moment when WWE probably knew that Benoit did it on this one, and it was when William Regal did his tribute to Benoit and was just completely straightforward, didn't say anything to glorify him, but simply just said the straight things on it, and you just knew. At the very least, Regal knew he did it, and it's likely that was the moment it was starting to leak to people.
Right.
And it all goes to the same thing on it, because that
here's some food for thought. What if? Sorry.
Well, it would be one of my things for it, where it just goes with the same question that I'd ask you guys as well. Because if you had Vince McMahon in a room, he's been administered with a dose of sodium pentothal before surgery. You can ask him any question you want, and you know he'll tell the truth because of it. One of those big questions I'd ask would be, at what time on that day did you know Chris Benoit was the killer? And that would be with it because of how weird everything was there. What would you guys' questions be if you had it? One question you know Vince has to answer you completely truthfully.
Go ahead, Roach. I'll go after you.
Yeah, I don't really have one. It honestly never occurred to me.
Mm-hmm.
Same here, but I can think of one.
Okay.
You know what? Okay, that's tough. Now that I think about it, this might take a while. Maybe remind me next week.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, here's some food for thought. When Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit died, WWE started trying to reel back in the ring style and protect their wrestlers more. Here's some food for thought. What if Benoit didn't die? What if Guerrero didn't die? Or barring that, what if Eddie died but Benoit didn't die? Do you think WWE would have still tried to go to PG, or do you think we'd still be in TV 14 today?
Honestly, the big problem with TV PG is that, first off, the big issue is that I've been steadfast and I'll be steadfast. TV PG is bullshit. You can put on a good wrestling show at TVY7. You can put on a shitty wrestling show at TVMA. The TV rating is a load of crap, and people who say fuck PG don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And that's a big point there as well, because really, if it's TV 14, there's not much you're going to have that would be different from what you see. I mean, sometimes you're going to hear them say things like hell, damn, bitch, things like that. The swears they can get away with on this one. The most you're going to get are some blood, which is probably a problem on this one, and tits, which are probably something that's got to go the way of the dodo anyway. And that brings up the other thing this week on this one, from the Toni Storm situation. To all you fans who support women's wrestling and did that shit to her to drive her from social media, if Toni Storm retires from wrestling over what happened to her, fuck you. You don't deserve good women's wrestling anymore. You said for years, since Shimmer started, that you wanted serious women's wrestling and women's wrestlers to be taken seriously and be allowed to have the same chances they got the men. And then, with so many women in wrestling, they turn around and hack their iClouds to try and find nude photos of them that they use on this one. They said they wanted to treat the women like serious performers, and then they go and treat them like the worthless sex objects that were from that division beforehand on it that they said they didn't want. If Toni Storm retires over this, and if the rumors that Paige was so despondent when her leaks happened, she was ready to commit suicide over it, if either of those things happened, the fans would not deserve good women's wrestling. They deserve wrestling to go back to the kiddie pool filled with pudding and just have 30-second pudding matches and screaming them. They deserve the Playboy pillow fights again. At least with the Playboy pillow fights, the women consented to letting you see them naked. They deserve to have no women from the indies signed and have Johnny Ace go back in Power and just get a bunch of random models and train them to do a couple moves and do that. If you do something like this, you do not deserve to see good women's wrestling. Fuck you in 3 specific ways. So hard, so bad, and wicked bad. Thank you.
What scares me is that, she might, you know, there is a possibility that she might go and commit suicide because of this. I hope not, but if she's get off social media, wanting to quit wrestling, I mean, this is the dark side of the internet. It's like, you know, people joke about Anonymous and people joke about, oh, let's dox them and send 1 million pizzas to their house. But this, I mean, then there's people going and doing stuff like this. You know what? I mean, forget, fuck them. How about fuck the internet in general? Yeah, I'm going to go there.
Yeah,
come at me, bro.
Yeah,
come at me, bro.
Fuck the internet in general. It's the fact that it's bad enough they're just leaking these pictures and hacking their iClouds trying to find nude photos of them. It's the fact
not just wrestling, Tommy. It's fucking everywhere.
Douchebags. You actually send the photos to the person you hacked it for? Fuck you. Like, fuck you, you assholes. I'd say that you were incels, but Chris Chan looks like Brad fucking Pitt next to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? They don't just do it to wrestlers; they do it to celebrities. Like there was quite a few celebrities that came out too, and they think. I mean, it comes back to that they think they can. It's one thing to expose treachery. It's one thing to expose corruption, but to turn around and use that power to cause problems to everyone just because they may have said or did something you didn't like, if it was so minor league, you're going to ruin their lives. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
And like I said, you know what? I'm gonna say right now, you know what? This is a challenge for the rest of my life. Any of you motherfuckers that think you're such hot shit, you want to start showing pictures and exposing people just to get your rocks off. Well, you know what? Any of you motherfuckers out there on the internet, you want to do that shit? I'm your enemy. Come fight me. And don't do it a pussy with weapons. Let's do it fist to fist, like real men. Because you know what? And I'll tell you what's going to happen right now. Here's a spoiler alert. You're going to the hospital.
Yes. And that's really the problem on these ones, because it's just very bad situation on these ones. And it's worse on this case because there is room to believe that the nude photo hacks most recently of Charlotte Flair and Tony Storm may have been done by someone involved and done deep cover on this one. There is proof that the nude photo allegedly that was found of Charlotte Flair had her with her shirt off and coming from the bathroom at a WWE live event, and that means that it had to have been either taken by a WWE performer, a WWE backstage worker, or someone who worked at that arena. And whoever that person was, they should lose their job and they should be prosecuted for it. Likewise, on this one, I can say, Joey Axel, fuck you. Any promotion that books this guy should be blacklisted by any wrestler who goes through on this one, and it should not be supported by the fans. If this guy is booked in any way, give this guy Michael Elgin heat and make it clear, we know what you did. You're not welcome here anymore. Because there's proof that he was the person, and Storm said this guy was the one who leaked these pics, and there was also proof that he did it to multiple other women on the UK indie scene. So I highly suggest blackball this fucker now.
Absolutely.
If you book him, we will never watch your show again.
You know what? I challenge this guy to a fight right now.
Mm-hmm.
Battle of the Joeys. Someone book it.
Yep.
I challenge this fucking asshole to a fight.
I'd do so too, only I'd replace it with this one and Brock Lesnar with both hands tied behind Axel's back and his hands tied to his legs. And actually give Lesnar a gun too.
So this guy's from Australia. He's 6'2", 205. I'm 5'9", 185. I can take him.
Yep. But yes, this was just something where this is terrible on it, and
now I will say this: if it comes out,
to be hacked.
Sorry,
Continue, Joey.
Now, I will say this: if it comes out that the guy was innocent and framed or something, then okay, I will nix that. But if it turns out he legit did it,
yeah,
we're gonna fight.
Honestly, it's pretty much sure on this one because in the last thing before Storm deleted all her social media, she said flat out, "This guy did it, and I know he did it." And in addition, there's been a lot of signs that this guy was behind leaks that hit B. Priestley and Vicky Haskins from the United Kingdom scene. So,
did he do anything? Did he do anything to Tennille Dashwood?
I don't believe so because most of these ones were apparently people from the United Kingdom. So. And even then, things like that are still the problem on this one because there's also that issue that goes on with when these leaks happen where people say, I hope X is next. And it's like, dude, you're hoping that this wrestler you think is one of your favorites gets humiliated in the world and stuff like this happens to them. Fuck you. You cease to be seen as a fan of them. You can like a wrestler for their beauty and their talent as well, but you do not want things like this to happen. If this happens, you should be ashamed of yourself for thinking that way. You are part of the problem. You are the reason that they make these leaks. Because the biggest thing to remember is these leaks happen because we give them power. All people give them power on this one too. That belief that I want to see this person naked, and these ones are, I want to make sure that this person gets to be seen naked so I get some internet cred and I get power on the internet, and that's why they do this shit. So no, do not support these leaks.
So we're going to officially say to hell with all the fappenings?
Yes. We can basically put this one that Whacked Out Wrestling is an anti-fappening show.
Okay, I'll co-sign that. Roach.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that might be a controversial opinion, but we are anti the fappening.
Yeah, I mean, because, okay, you know, when we were kids, I mean, our generation, we didn't get the internet until we were teenagers, but back in the day, I mean, we didn't have that. Instead, we went to fucking Playboys and we hit them on our mattresses and, you know, did our business behind the scenes. But I mean, this is just another level.
Yeah, because at least with those ones, at least there was maybe it's weird on this era of complete consent where you have a case where maybe a playmate doesn't approve of that creepy guy down the street buying a copy of her Playboy on it, but by and large, at least with Playboy, we can pretty much say that the second that someone does a professional nude shoot and it's released to people, they're okay if you see them. They're perfectly fine with that. But when it's hacking their iCloud to try and find pictures like that, then you know, nope, that is not something there. They did not intend for you to see it. They did not go for you to see it. Fuck you if you go after it.
Absolutely. I mean, this is like some next level stalker type shit. It used to be you'd have people stalk celebrities or wrestlers, you know, they just wanted to get to know them, or maybe they just wanted to, you know, get in a relationship with them. But to just go and do this is...
It's not even just next level stalking. It is stalking. Like when Erin Andrews got hit as one of the first people to go with it, it was done by someone who was stalking her and put a peephole in to see her changing. So it's not next level. It is stalking.
But you don't understand. I mean, like, back in the day, it used to be people would stalk them just to try to get to know them, or maybe blindly hope to fall in a relationship with them. It wasn't all this get the pictures and share them with everybody type shit.
Yes. And that's really the same problem on it, where it just goes to the fact that they just don't realize on these ones. Again, if it's a professional shoot on it, there's the difference. And that's the world of difference between saying, yes, I did buy the ESPN body issue last year, and so because it had Charlotte Flair in it, and it was because, yeah, Charlotte Flair was perfectly fine with that one because she agreed to do that body issue. that's legal. Going for the pictures that were leaked of Charlotte Flair, not so much. She did not want you to see them, so that's not good there.
Amongst all this fappening bullshit, I gotta ask this. We hear a million female celebrities. Has it ever gone on the other foot like male celebrities or wrestlers get exposed?
Yeah, there's been some male celebrities and wrestlers that exposed as well.
Like who?
Well, on wrestling ones, I believe it was Brad Maddox, Fandango, Titus O'Neil, people like that. But yeah, dick pics being leaked is very common for it. So
I remember years ago on a pay-per-view, William Regal accidentally showed his dick.
yeah, but even then, that's a mistake between a wardrobe malfunction in that case and stuff like, say, the most famous example of a male wrestler being leaked. Seth Rollins' ex-girlfriend being angry that he cheated on her with another person by leaking nudes of that person and Rollins.
I remember the Death Valley Driver forum spazzing out over Regal's dick, and I posted there. I said, "Okay, it's a dick. Big deal. Who hasn't seen a dick before?" I wake up in the morning. Every morning I wake up, I see a dick.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, geez, people. And some idiot actually put up a damn picture of when it happened, and I just fell over laughing.
Yes.
Did he wind up getting banned?
I don't know.
I didn't put it up there.
No, I not you, but did the person who did it wind up getting banned, I mean?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no clue either, so.
But I mean, I remember I just fell over laughing at it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't.
I can see that.
Yeah, but it was just normal. It's not really a consent issue or those ones. It was just a minor cock-up. What can we say?
Yeah.
But yes, back to Raw, since we got on our soapbox for the week there, and let's go back to these ones. And I got to the wrong had those results for it. We also had afterwards some New Year's resolutions where the authors of Pain promised to make the new year even more brutal, which given their last year would mean, are they going to start poop now? And then,
hey, that's John Cena's territory.
Yes. They had the Riot Squad, who isn't changing because no one ever changes there. Zack Ryder wanting to win and collect action figures. I think he can already do the action figure things. And
No Way Jose wins on house shows, I hear. Yeah.
And No Way Jose wants a party. But I think he could probably have that anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
These New Year's resolutions they're just filler. Let's just call them like they are.
Yeah. But it's always nice to see who's getting time for the lower card. And then we have more proof of this new era of wrestling and how great the new era of pro wrestling is going to be with Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Ember Moon versus the Riot Squad.
I actually missed that match. What happened?
The same shit that happened in every Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Friend of the Month versus Riot Squad match that has happened for years, a year now. It's the same thing. It's the same always on it. And it's just a problem on this one because, yes, it's made the Riot Squad go from a kind of mess secondary thing to a damn good tag team, but it's just too overdone. Give us something else, for crying out loud.
And they were talking about a new era, a new era, and we getting the same old shit.
Yep. And the worst part is the fans apparently liked it. And that was even worse for these things because the fans getting the same shit over and over again was a problem for it. And it just is what it is. And then we have the other things where we have Seth Rollins get a chance to get the Intercontinental title against the man who looks like money, smells like money, is money, Bobby Lashley.
Bitch boy Bobby.
Lashley.
Bitch boy Bobby. Bitch boy Bobby.
So you saw the place where he presented Rearly as honored for his male pimp Leo Rush too. So,
oh boy.
yeah, and this is why people are worried about TNA. Bobby Lashley seemed like a can't miss guy just 1 year ago, and somehow they made him miss. You wonder why I don't think EC3 is going to succeed. Maybe it's because Bobby Lashley turned to this. Because Bobby Roode turned to he's got a theme song. Because EC3 hasn't shown a gimmick. Because AJ Styles is no who actually works.
I'm sorry. I was bored and I was looking for the William Regal error picture and I found it again. I'm just laughing my ass off again.
Yep.
I'm so sorry.
Did William Regal give you consent to look at that picture?
It's not, dude. It's not just him accidentally showing it. It's the face he gives too, man.
Well, that's always the plus on this one. As we all know about the Regal, Regal gives the best facials in the business.
It's like he knows he fucked up.
Yes. Well, that's also the plus, where his facial expressions were always his best thing. So when he knows he fucked up good.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go on with what you were saying about the about Bitch Boy Bobby.
Well, it was just the same thing because it was a perfectly normal match on it, and then Rollins gets the DQ, and it was just is what it is. And next week, John Cena will be here.
When we get talk about SmackDown, I have some thoughts about what's going to happen on that, but
yeah,
that'll be for the SmackDown part.
Yep. And then they have complete normal stuff for just random things, and Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers beating up on Heath Slater and Rhino, which was what it was.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some matches you can't really say much about. Like, it just seems like they tossed a couple of teams or a couple of guys together and had them go at it, and honestly, that's perfectly fine. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with that.
Yeah, just throw in the fact that it was clearly just get the hometown boy Rhino onto the card, then is what it is.
Yeah, when I saw Rhino come back, I mean, I was surprised that they didn't give Heath Slater and Rhino the win there.
Yeah. Well, that's really the problem where you're trying to go with Jinder Mahal still being somewhat important, because otherwise, if you don't make Mahal important, it's like you gave that guy the WWE Championship and he can't even get off main event. That is one of the most pathetic things I've seen in years on it. And
well, you know what? Let's be fair, though. I mean, he was a great heel champion for SmackDown.
Yeah, I think that Jinder Mahal was an unpopular choice, but he really grew into the role of a top heel. And I wouldn't be adverse to them revisiting him as a main event level heel. There's no reason he couldn't be a Baron Corbin.
Well, just don't have him do anything like the Nakamura feud again.
Yeah.
I think that was probably what messed up his reign as champion so much.
Well, also the fact that he was Jinder Mahal.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta stop looking at this.
Yeah.
Plenty of time for that when we're done.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. I'm
Send
here.
for the man.
What?
Send for the man.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, you were saying a few weeks ago you needed to get a sign to whack me in the head with.
Yes. But
yeah.
then it
I'll stop. It's just been years since I see that William Regal picture, and it looks as funny as it did all those years ago.
Well, at least you're looking for William Regal's nude photos after the time we went here. So that's at least one plus. And then,
like I said, it's not just that. It's just the face he gives. It's like he knows he fucked up.
Yes.
Like he knows, like, oh no, I took it off while and the camera's rolling. It's live pay-per-view. Vince, I kissed Vince's ass. Now I'm probably gonna get fired.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. And then it goes to the same
All
thing on it for more of the filler. Rude and Gable want to shut up the Revival for good. The Revival want to bring credibility back to the division, and Bayley and Sasha want to be tag team champions. So filler again. But then we have what they went for as well. Dean Ambrose versus Apollo Crews.
that was a good match. That
Yeah.
match reminded me of Ric Flair as a champ versus an undercard guy, and he would make the undercard guy look like $1 million. I thought Ambrose did great making Crews look like he could legit win it. It was a very good throwback style match.
Yeah, and that's usually the good thing about the US title and Intercontinental title open challenges, because you were supposed to get matches like that instead of matches that were just meh for them. And that's why I think the Dolph Ziggler match was what killed everybody on it, because it's great when they do that one for it. So, but then you have stuff like, the problem on that one was you have the other things where one night story, Apollo Crews eliminates 8 people and takes Ambrose to the limit. And then the crowd chants CM Punk throughout the whole match. And I've said my thoughts on the CM Punk match thing before. He's not coming back. He doesn't want to come back. He actually kind of hates you that you're chanting for him. He doesn't want this one. And it's basically become how Smarks say, fuck you on camera without breaking the PG thing.
What's more annoying? What's more annoying, that or what?
I can at least agree with the what chant, because if you think about it, it's kind of hand in hand, where you have the what chant and the rise of heels who talk slow and use big words like that, and it makes perfect sense. The what chant was boring, it was bad, but at least the heels found a way to make the what chant work for them by finding a cadence that gives about one syllable in between every word, so that the fans can chant what every time it happens.
Stone Cold got a common word over with the mainstream. I mean, that is the sign of a great wrestler. Getting something as simple as a simple common word over.
Yeah.
So over it would get its own t-shirt. That is a stroke of genius.
Exactly.
Like yes or no.
Yeah,
or
like Danielson did with that. Exactly.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're going to get some fickle shirts.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happens eventually. So, but even then, there's cases with the CM Punk chant where you chant CM Punk because to the Authority. Yeah, okay. The Authority drove CM Punk from the business. Do that. Chant CM Punk to Roman Reigns. Kind of a little bit more dodgy, but whatever. Roman Reigns is seen as the poster child of this new era, so go with it. They chant it to the cruiserweights for having good matches with it. Yeah, it's kind of a bad thing there, but I guess the cruiserweight rollout sucked. But when you chant it for people like Apollo Crews or Sami Zayn in big matches, yeah, fuck you. You're openly going against what you say you want. You've made it clear that this is just how you say fuck you to the WWE. And in that case, no, fuck you.
I heard it sounded like a computer noise in the background. What was that? It was like a bloop?
Oh, I was just using this to get my thoughts together about the Crews storyline.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Fair
enough.
But so I needed to get on Discord where I had them, so
perfectly fine.
But it was really one of the pet peeves on this one for it, because it's like that song with the Apollo Crews match. That old camp song, there's a hole in the bucket for it. Because with the Apollo Crews thing, it's like, there's a talented wrestler, dear WWE, dear WWE, then push him, dear fan base, dear fan base, dear fan base. Creative won't do it, dear WWE, dear WWE. Then make creative do it, dear fans, dear fans. But the fans aren't cheering him, dear WWE, dear WWE. Then give them a reason to cheer their fans, dear fans. But they don't get any TV time, WWE. Then give them some matches, dear fans, fair fans. The fans don't care about this guy, dear WWE, dear WWE. Then de-push that wrestler, dear fans, dear fans. But the guy is so talented, dear WWE, dear WWE, and so on.
You know what? You could make a meme out of that.
Of course.
You can make a meme out of pretty much anything.
Yeah.
No, but I'm
They
saying,
made a meme out of they did surgery on a grape.
Mm-hmm.
They did
Jesus.
surgery on a grape.
Why?
I don't know. It just became a meme somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, son.
Mm-hmm.
That's the internet for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that frog on a unicycle a few years back.
Oh shit, it's that boy.
Meanwhile, Golden State's up by 3.
Mm-hmm.
Just the beginning of the fourth quarter against the Rockets. Rockets seem to have found their mojo again.
Yeah. But yeah, what's the problem on this one? Because with Apollo Crews, it's gone past the level where the fans won't cheer this guy, but they blame WWE for not letting them cheer this guy, and they blame them for not pushing him, even though whenever they push him, they say, no, we're not going to cheer him because you're not pushing him. And in this case, the guy eliminated 8 wrestlers tonight on the show and took Ambrose to the limit. That's a push. What more do you want? But he's not the world champion now. And if he was the world champion now, it would be, but he doesn't mean anything, so that match sucks. He just shouldn't be champion. He sucks.
Do we have Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman beat the shit out of these asshole fans, please?
Probably on it, because there is a level where if you're with people like Apollo Crews, he's very talented, I know, but if he's not that good at getting the crowd reactions and stuff like that, here's a tip. Maybe, just maybe, I know this might be a controversial thought, but maybe he's not that good. And that's really a problem.
The thing about Cruz in that match was it seemed like he got some of his moves back.
Yeah. And that's really the thing on it, because with Cruz, again, it really does boil down to the guy's a great wrestler, but he doesn't have that much charisma. And again, I'm not even talking about promos on this one. I'm not even talking about what he does on those ones. Apollo Crews just seems smaller than he is for the most part. Like, he connotes that he's a small guy instead of connoting that he's bigger than he is, like a lot of wrestlers do. He doesn't have that larger-than-life feeling. And I don't need him to be...
The weird thing was he actually looked bigger when he came in at first, and then it's like he lost muscle or lost weight.
Well, it's not even those ones. It's just connotation there. Like I said, I don't need him to give me a promo like The Rock every week. I don't need him to sell like Jeff Hardy does every week. Just give me your 6'2", 240 and built like a brick shithouse, and I shouldn't want to fuck with you. That's all I need from you. And if you can't even give me that, then no, you don't deserve to be in the WWE on that one. That's that's basically the bare minimum that you need to give someone, and if you're going to be a charismatic person.
Is he still being managed by Titus O'Neil?
No.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, they broke it off.
Yeah.
They didn't even have like a break-off storyline. They just broke it off one week.
Yeah. And it's kind of a shame because Titus Worldwide was a pretty good spot for him because every member of that team helped everybody else on it. Titus O'Neil is a very charismatic human being, but the guy just can't wrestle. Apollo Crews is a great wrestler, but he has no charisma. Dana Brooke isn't really that charismatic and isn't really that good a wrestler, but she's a very, very pretty girl, and she makes both of these guys look really cool because she hangs out with them.
Yeah, and okay, Dana Brooke left. Dana Brooke basically quit Titus Worldwide. They did a scene of that, but I don't think they did a scene of Apollo quitting.
Yeah, and I thought they did a scene where he was going to break off and go with her, but that didn't happen either, and it just was what it was.
Yeah.
But it's a shame because that act really had everybody compliment everybody else's strengths and weaknesses, and if you're going to have a tag team or a stable, that's all you need.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They were a good lower card stable for what they were. They just never could turn the corner.
Yeah, and
it's kind of shocking because you had LeVar Ball come onto the scene with his kids, and they even showed up on Raw. And basically, I thought they were going to say that Titus was trying to be like him, and I thought, hell, this is going to be like when Ryder got over by himself, even though he was kind of channeling the Jersey Shore crew.
Yeah, but that was the problem where once they said that and said that line, it was clear that they had to turn the other direction from Titus and Brand emulating LeVar Ball forever.
Yeah, because of them calling that was not a very PG line to say.
Yeah. Yes, and that was really the problem on that one for. But then you have things like Alexa Bliss announcing she's getting her own talk show, and her first guest will be Ronda Rousey.
Okay, and I got a clip that says it all about that. Alexa Bliss's talk show. Here is a 5-second clip of what the theme song for that show should be. Let me just get it up.
Okay.
This is not the song of the week. This is just a clip of. This is going to be a sneak preview. This is going to be what I think the theme song of her song should be, or of her show should be. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Shit. Y'all ready for this shit? Introducing the shit face killer. Shit. I want rich ass. I smoke like, I smell like, cause I just took the shit in my face,
Yeah. I think that's actually going to be Drake Maverick's entrance music next week.
Yeah. But yeah, how can this be good? I mean, Alexa Bliss is very charismatic on the mic, but every time she has a segment dedicated to not just a promo, it's terrible. You get this is your life. You get the open forum stuff.
You know what? If all I know is if they go with your idea, like a fan asking how big is Batista's dick to one of them, game on.
Yeah. Honestly, that seems like it would be the question on it, and I think one day we're gonna get this one from some fan going rogue for it.
Well, I told everyone the answer a few weeks ago. I said 8x8. Now shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
But nobody listens, so they're going to continue asking.
Yeah, and honestly, it's just a shame because, as was said, Batista just seems like the type of guy who's waiting for someone to ask him that question, who would be happy to tell you how big his dick was if only someone just asked, yo, dude, how big is your dick? He just seems like that. Yeah, he's a nice guy, but he's just a little bit of a douchebag type of guy who'd happily say that.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And then you have Brock Lesnar coming back next week, so he's actually going to be there. And then you have your main event, Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax in a main event.
I thought there was a tag match.
Yeah, in a main event with Natalya and Tamina.
So let's see. We got an MMA. We got a female pioneer in MMA. We got a cat lady taking on Wendy Williams with 150 pounds and a Taylor Dane wannabe.
Yes. And of course, this was a very good match on this one because you have Rousey and Natalya, who were very good, and Nia Jax completely whining about the fact that she wasn't in one picture, yet got to main event the last show of the year. because of course it's more important to be in one tweet on social media for this than anything else. And that whole storyline was also bullshit. Yes, Nia Jax had an argument that they had only white women in the picture and didn't have any people of color. And yes, if that was the case, you also can go with the fact that the Iconics didn't do that much this year and didn't have that much of a case for it. But at the same time, Asuka would be in that one. And Asuka's been hyped up on a lot of other things for this one. And most importantly, there's the fact that Nia Jax is a Samoan German woman. She's about as white or about as black as any one of us is on this one.
What do you mean Samoan German? Is she part German?
She's Samoan and German descent. Her mother's German and her father's Samoan and related to Peter Maivia. So,
okay, gotcha.
So you've got Nia Jax talking as this great black role model and great person of color fighting for all the people on this one when she's related to Peter Maivia and not Rocky Johnson to be related to The Rock, which means that I don't have her 23andMe scheduled on this one, but she's not black. Doing this is not just helping these people for the underrated things, undertrodden things, which we know there are some problems on, but going after Nia Jax and raising her up as the hero in this one is some Rachel Dolezal bullshit, and yes, I went there. She is... It would be one thing if you did something like honored Asuka, who had this one. Hell, honor Naomi or Ember Moon, who are actually black women who did some things on it. But Nia Jax isn't even black. That's the whole problem.
Someone should call her out on that, but I doubt we'll get it in PG WWE.
Yeah. And
but you know what? Okay, no, I got to say this. I mean, okay, they could get away with that, but last week we were talking about Sonya Deville, and I made the joke that WWE rips off iCarly with the 7-second dance break with R-Truth or Carmella. So I made the joke about how Sonya Deville looks like Jade West, aka Elizabeth Gillies, if she was a fighter, and they're both from New Jersey. They're both sexy Italian girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, and I made the joke about, you know, we need to have someone be basically Beck. And I was thinking Mustafa Ali could be Beck to Sonya Deville's Jade. So, I mean, it's kind of like that with Nia Jax, how you described it.
Yeah. But at the very least, there's also the difference where never underestimate the power of shippers. Just shippers. See, there's a few good... Yeah, there's a good few reasons why it wouldn't work with Sonya Deville and where it would work with Nia Jax.
No, I know that. You explained that last week.
See, yeah. But that's also the big problem on these ones, where the biggest thing on them would be their tea's gone cold. I wonder why they got out of bed at all. The morning rain clouds up their window, and they can't see it all. And even if they could, it would all be gray. But their picture on my wall, it reminds me that it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
You slipped. I wrote you, but you still ain't calling.
Yep, exactly.
Devon Sawa playing the fan in that video for Eminem was genius.
Yes.
That's a guy, that's an actor that should get more. That's an actor right there that should get more gigs, Devon Sawa.
I think he was in that Action Man cartoon in the 90s.
Yeah.
He was in a lot of things in the 90s. He was Human Casper and Casper the Friendly Ghost. He was in a Canadian teen show called Carisdale or Carisdale High or Kid Zone, whatever it was called. He was in what was the movie? He was in Idle Hands.
Yeah.
Who also had Kelly Monaco in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, it was the touching story about you had Kelly Monaco and a young Jessica Alba in there, and you have him with his right hand.
Yeah, and you had Kelly Monaco basically get killed while she was in Kiss makeup looking like a female Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
And he was in Final Destination.
Yeah.
Right. And then he was in a few, like, made for Canadian TV children's movies, like Robin of Locksley.
Yeah.
Well, eerily enough, and I actually seen that movie. It came on one of the cable channels, and eerily enough, the motherfucker looked and sounded like Corey Haim in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it was what it was. I mean, but he's a good actor. He grew up to be a good actor. I wish he'd get more acting gigs.
Yeah.
Because he didn't seem like he went off the rails like a lot of children's actors.
Is he still alive? I thought he.
Yeah,
Kevin Sawa's still alive. He's only like he's young too.
Yeah, he was actually in an episode of the new Hawaii Five-0 just last year. So
cool.
For some reason, I thought he died or something like that.
So he hasn't even been particularly inactive, let alone retired.
Yeah, probably just one of those people who just lost their push or stuff like that.
Just wanted to chill, or just want to chill out and live a semi-normal life. I can respect that.
Yep. Okay, then. So this is about the time while it's in between Raw and SmackDown for the Song of the Week and the second Song of the Week this week. So, Joey, go take it away.
Well, we played a rockabilly song from Mean Gene Okerlund, and so I want to continue in the rockabilly / psychobilly genre, and I want to play a song by one of the most influential and iconic bands in that genre. They are called The Cramps, and the song is something all of us men would one day want. It is called Bikini Girls with Machine Guns.
I was almost willing to joke on that one that would be the song on it. So we have this is why we're such a good show. We have a psychic bond together.
Yep. Here we go.
I actually remember they had this on an episode of Beavis and Butthead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was a funny music video, and the song's Aces, which I'm going to play right now.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. That was the Cramps with Bikini Girls and Machine Guns, also known as my main man El Buzo de Manguito's main theme song.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to El Buzo de Manguito. Keep doing your thing.
Yes, one of the greatest luchadors you have never heard of.
He was a legend.
Mm-hmm. And
He made no Masters look like dog shit.
Yes. His series with El Hijo del Puto is legendary, so.
Yeah, and I mean, they tried to call out Senor Bag of Crap and El Aso Wipo for a great tag match, but that never came to happen. But who knows? One day,
one day we will see
that might return. Stay tuned.
Yep. And then we have the first start of this one, and New Day shows up to open things up for the new year, and they start out with the big things of it. All three of them will be in the Royal Rumble, and WWE actually used Steiner math.
That was crazy. I laughed that they actually
absolutely
the impact with that.
Yeah, that is the ultimate sign. TNA means jack shit to WWE right now. They could actually pull off one of their promos and do it. And honestly, it does help on this one where they snap about not being able to get a title shot even if Brock Lesnar doesn't show up. And this is probably a good thing because, really, it's been 3 years. It's about
two-part question after you finish your thought.
Okay, it's about time for one of the New Day to be fighting for the world title. It's ready. It goes through. They're the best, one of the best acts on the show on it. They've clearly become some of the top stars in the company. It's time. Everybody wants a black WWE champion. It's time for one of those three to be the world champion.
Big E.
Yeah. Well, honestly, there is the long-time theory that I've been having of the conspiracy theory that goes through for Big E in that case.
What's that?
Basically, in 2012 or 2013, Triple H and Vince McMahon both had a choice for who they wanted to be the next big star in the industry for it. Roman Reigns was Triple H's choice as the big star, and Big E was apparently Vince McMahon's choice. And since that happened, Triple H won the choice on it. But since then, Roman Reigns had all of his promos incredibly scripted, everything pushed like, we want this guy to be a star, we want this guy to be a star, and it made the fans turn on him for years for it. And while this happened, the New Day got incredible amounts of freedom for their promos, were allowed to do whatever they want and develop characters, were allowed to get a connection with the fans, and went through that way. And that's the same things that Vince always gave Hogan and Rock and Austin and everyone else like that.
Quick question about the New Day. When they do commentary, I know they cut in and out on the TV showing, but on the WWE Network, do they actually have like a choice where you can listen to them all the way through?
I don't know off the top of my head, so.
Personally, I would love to see New Day call a full SmackDown and be used as an alternative commentary.
Honestly, that would work on it as
absolutely.
It would counter the fact that we'll never get the NBA game that had commentary in English, Spanish, and Moses Malone speak.
I'll be back, guys. I gotta bleed the lizard.
Yep.
All right.
Mm-hmm. And that one goes through. Same things normally, and the doctors told him to stop eating pancakes, so Big E pulls some out and throws diaper pancakes to people.
Classy.
Yeah. And then Kofi freaks out, and he and Woods have their New Year's resolutions. The plots to Bumblebee and Bird Box.
Yep.
Which does work, and then we talk about the fatal five-way main event for the WWE title shot at the Royal Rumble, and a regular qualifying match to fill in the fifth spot, which was Jeff Hardy versus Samoa Joe. And honestly, it doesn't really have a sense of it because they showed the match last week and Jeff snapped on him, so just have the same match at the same time. But yeah, the match was pretty much straightforward. Happens, nothing really goes on, and eventually Joe gets the win by knocking Hardy out. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then we go back to the things of Vince McMahon bringing out AJ Styles' animal and having AJ Styles get through, and we're not sure that it happens for the same stuff that they're doing with Seth Rollins on Raw, and the same fact that they think it turned him heel, but really that's one of the whole problems with this one. You have the McMahons come back to TV, you have the McMahons say that the fans are the authority, you have it clear that the McMahons are now baby faces, and yet you also have AJ Styles and Seth Rollins turning against the authority and turning against the McMahons and going after them themselves. But the people who turn are still supposed to be badass faces, even if the McMahons are badass faces. And what the hell is going on? And it's worse because you can't even just have the McMahons turn heel again, because the McMahons will always turn heel eventually, because right now in kayfabe, if the McMahons turn heel, the storyline that they would do is turn heel by giving fans the bad shows they had again and going back to the same old shit booking they did before. So they can't even do that. So what the hell are you supposed to do in this instance?
They basically painted themselves into a corner, pretty much.
Yeah. And that's really this problem where at least they had it where it was painted into a corner with Miz and Shane McMahon, which kind of died out on the vine itself because they had it dead when the original plan was supposed to be Shane McMahon turns heel at January to pay off the Crown Jewel stuff, but they dropped all that, dropped the Best in the World storyline, dropped the Raw sweep of SmackDown, and just went with, okay, this is the reboot.
I guess everything was just going so badly with what was going on that they decided that the only alternative was to just toss it all out and start from relative scratch.
Yeah. And that's really the question on it, because it's been a few weeks now, and I'm still not sure if this is a complete overhaul like it needed, or if it's like the South Park thing where I'm being nice now, Kyle. And Kyle says to Cartman, you're not being nice. You just put on a nice sweater. And that's really
what I miss.
Well, it's basically just talking about the question of whether it's working now on it, where for some reason it seems like they're starting to try to overhaul it, but I'm not sure if it's really an overhaul yet, or if it's just, you like these undercarders that we don't use, we'll give them a push, but keeping the same problems that have been all along.
Right, that's what it seems like it's becoming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What were you saying about a sweater, though?
It was mentioning the South Park joke where Cartman said, no, Kyle, I've changed. I'm becoming nice. And he said, you're not being nice. You've just put on a nice sweater.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And that seems like the same thing on it because, again, yes, we like Tyler Breeze. We like Apollo Crews. We like the Revival, but it's not about them getting a push to be stars on it. It's about... Did the
Revival win the belts on Raw?
No, they didn't.
Okay, I don't think you brought that up. That's...
Yeah.
Okay.
They're barely getting a shot at them, but...
Yeah. It's not about them getting a big push there. It's about the fact that they need to make it so that it's important to be a mid-carder again. They need to fix the Game of Thrones era that's started where it doesn't matter anything that's on kayfabe, anything that's in storyline, any matches, any angles, any promos, anything. All that matters is this going to get my favorite wrestler closer to the Iron Throne? and that Iron Throne isn't even the WWE title or the WWE Women's title, but John Cena's spot or Roman Reigns' spot. And if you're not in that spot, it doesn't matter.
Not a liver spot. What was the quote that Arnie?
Not my dog spot, not a liver spot, but my spot.
Exactly.
Yep. That cracks me up when Nash spoofed Arn Anderson.
Yes. And that was really the issue on this one. So we don't know if they're actually fixing things for it. And,
you know, like I said before, when they started this, I said, you know, if you truly gave fans the book that they would try to do absurd things like we demand Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks to show up next week challenging for the titles.
yes. Well, at least there is the case where we don't know what the fans did because, as we saw from Raw, the fans ate up that shitty Riot Squad versus Bayley, Sasha, and Ember match with a spoon, and they said, nope, CM Punk, we don't want this for Apollo Crews, Dean Ambrose. So,
yeah.
And that's probably the bigger problem because the fans basically say, we want to bring back the Attitude Era. Have PG die, man. And it's like, no, you do not. Those Attitude Era shows are really dated. They really sucked. You just didn't know because Austin and Rock were so white hot at the time.
There were some. I mean, there were some good mid-carders in the Attitude Era. The Brood.
Yeah, but most of the mid-carders, they had some talented ones, but by and large,
were good.
Yeah, by and large, it didn't really click until 2000 when the Radicals came over and they suddenly had the arsenal of good mid-carders that WCW had. So it did have some problems on that one.
Right. Well, I guess going on to SmackDown, I guess my theory about New Japan got blown out the water with the Rusev segment.
Yeah. Since if Nakamura was going to show up, he wouldn't have done that segment there because it's clear that Nakamura Rusev is going to happen. So
unless they say, you know, Rusev versus Nakamura, loser leaves WWE, then it could potentially still happen.
Yeah, but if it happened, it would have happened this show specifically. Otherwise, right. Because otherwise he can't show up at Wrestle Kingdom tonight. So.
Yeah, I thought for sure that's what was going to happen, but you know, it'll be interesting later tonight to see what happens.
Yep. And then it was still the case where you have Lana get crushed by Nakamura, and then the feud there goes on, and that's proof of WWE showing some honor in married couples and their relationship together. Which we go to the next match, which is
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, okay. I'll tell you why I was laughing, because the next segment was Mandy Rose flirting with the Uso.
Yeah.
Which Uso's married to Naomi? Was that Jimmy or Jay?
It was Jimmy because Jimmy's Naomi's husband, so.
Yeah, so it was funny. Oh, I showed a picture and it was showing Mandy Rose in the shower. I was just laughing because I was thinking for some weird reason, I was thinking about it would be funny if William Regal was in the storyline and like.
Yes.
And then
me laughing.
I showed Naomi this, and it goes to that picture.
Yeah. And honestly, that's a problem on this one where this goes back to the Vince McMahon limo explosion angle where you have this. We can't remind you that this show was taped on Saturday night this week and only aired on Tuesday, which is a problem with this storyline because you have a controversial storyline with a very pretty blonde girl sexting another wrestler and revealing the picture to hurt one of her rivals on this.
Now that you mention it, that's about as bad as what happened with the terrorist to Muhammad Hassan.
Yeah, that was not a good look for them that it happened that on this one because
When did this incident with Tony Storm happen? What day?
I believe it happened Monday, and it only
Oh.
really hit the fan on Wednesday. So
Oh.
yeah, but I believe the pictures leaked as of Monday, but shit really hit the fan Wednesday. So it was pretty much similar to the terrorist attack with Muhammad Hassan on one day, and then on Thursday it was the London bombings.
Yeah.
So
and that was the day that the segment actually aired. So
exactly.
Right.
So you can see the same thing where the angle itself had been getting some problems with people, but I think that it's perfectly fair to try and have an angle where Mandy Rose is trying to sext Jimmy Uso for it, especially when you remember the fact that the picture of Mandy Rose in a towel covered more than her gear does. So, which is also the same problem with a lot of the women's wrestling angles. So on paper it doesn't work there, but it does happen just as this angle blows up, and that is not a good look for WWE.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because things like this I don't think is much of a problem because having some slightly mature but not so over mature that you can't show them either ones on it is fine.
You almost had that with Aiden English and Lana and Rusev, but then they pulled back the next week.
Yeah, and that's really the point where adult situations is perfectly fine as long as they don't get too adult. And this is perfectly normal on it, where it's just naughty enough to seem like it's extreme, but not naughty enough so that it's not PG. That's the type of thing you want.
Where is Aiden English anyway? Is he injured?
I think he's in catering on this one, where it's not so much that he's injured, but they finished all the use that they had for him, so he's just not doing anything.
He might get released then soon.
Jeez.
Well, I don't know if they would release him on these ones simply because he's still a WWE lifer, and he's the last Guerrero family member on the roster, and you know that they wouldn't want to do that because, especially since they know Lucha Underground would pick him up quickly.
Aiden English?
He's married to Eddie Guerrero's daughter.
Oh, okay.
What's funny is that she actually did show up on Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
And she's going to be an announcer for Women of Wrestling.
Yeah.
She dressed like Female Raven on Lucha Underground, too.
Yep.
All right.
You notice that, Ro?
You know, that does seem familiar. So.
Mm-hmm. So,
Did
yeah.
you notice that, Johnny?
A little bit, yeah.
Hey, Johnny, tell Roach, you linked me to something before the show. Tell Tommy what you showed me.
Is that the thing with I sent it to him yesterday. Jason David Frank announcing that he's going into wrestling.
Yep. And that one goes with Jason David Frank goes into wrestling, has his long-standing challenge in MMA field. CM Punk return confirmed.
Well, Jason Frank actually did minor league MMA and did the smaller promotions. So
yeah, and that's all. And remember, he does have his MMA Christian label for clothing. Jesus didn't tap, which is probably why Jesus ended up dying. Remember, kids, tapping out is not a problem if it leads to things.
That's going to be interesting to see Tommy the Green Ranger wrestling.
Yep. Yeah, and it's still a problem because I was still just hoping that we'd get the greatest MMA triple threat of all time: CM Punk versus Tommy the Green Ranger versus Al Bundy.
Yeah. Al Bundy's legit a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
That is true.
And he has the football skills. I mean, 4 touchdowns in
4 touchdowns in one game. The leader or no, man.
Yep.
Oh, man. I mean.
Yep. No, ma'am.
Forget that. How about Jason David Frank broken Matt Hardy since they look alike?
Yeah. but that will be interesting on this one. And I'm already hearing that Joey Janela is frothing at the bit to book him for his next show.
Do it.
Yeah. That would be interesting for those ones. But yeah, you had the same thing for those ones, and then you just go to prepping for the Fatal 5-Way, more New Year's resolutions where the Iconics want to be the women's tag team champions too, so it's either them or Bayley and Sasha getting theirs. The Good Brothers eradicating SmackDown of nerds. Shelton Benjamin doesn't care because no one's going to live up to their promises. And
you know what? I wonder if that's going to lead to an angle for Shelton Benjamin. I mean, grouchy Shelton Benjamin raining on people's parade, like basically Bad News Barrett redone. I could get behind that for a gimmick for Shelton Benjamin. That could
honestly, I think it just works when you think of the New Japan fact that New Japan, WWE currently has on SmackDown a member of every single New Japan stable, and they all act exactly like they did in New Japan.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that other than Bullet Club?
Well, you've got Bullet Club with the Good Brothers or Gallows and Anderson still being their Bullet Club selves for it. You've got Chaos and Shinsuke Nakamura, who's a kind of heelish, nut-punching psychopath. You've got the Los Ingobernables de Japón with Andrade Cien Almas. And
no, Almas was the Los Ingobernables in Mexico.
I think
Palma was a spin-off of them.
Yeah. I thought they also worked some shows for New Japan as well.
He might have as a Sombra, I'm not sure.
Yeah. And he is still the Tranquilo, so guy who doesn't really care much on it. And Shelton Benjamin was in Suzuki-gun, and Shelton is a grumpy veteran who hates everything and just wants to beat people up.
Which was basically.
And yet he acted like a face when he congratulated Mustafa Ali the week before.
Yeah, and that's kind of weird on this one. So it's going to be insane, crazy to see.
You know what? I want to see that. I want to see grouchy. I want to see more of grouchy Shelton Benjamin. I think that has potential.
Yeah, and they were doing grouchy Shelton Benjamin beforehand, so it's perfectly normal if they did that.
Run with it. Run with it. Like angry, disgruntled, vet. Yeah, let's run with this. Oh, I could see him getting the U.S. title off of this.
Yeah. Yeah, and it wouldn't be a bad thing on it.
Shelton Benjamin beating Rusev for the title? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they could do a lot worse, so. So then we have the big moment on this one. John Cena returns to the WWE for a chat. And he talks about his year. He gets all the problems on it. He writes a best-selling children's book, lives in China, has his personal life become big, becomes a star, and has bad hair. So he has.
They look good.
Well, it's like John Cena's hair looks more like he's officially accepted that he's a 41-year-old man now and realizes that he's in his 40s.
He looks like a dad.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Kids.
Yeah. And that one goes to the same problem where he had the issues, and he knew someone would call him out, and it has Becky Lynch call him out for it. And that now Becky's trying to take the place and be the star in it and taking Cena's spot, and threatens to drop Cena for it. And that's honestly interesting on it because you're going to have really weird things to do. But if you're bringing out someone like Cena, this is why I was so unhappy with The Rock's angle on it. So if you're bringing back a celebrity or a big star on it, it's supposed to be, okay, we know we're bringing this person back to pop a rating and get people watching. Now, let's put this person we're popping the rating in with the new generation and hopefully get them to say, wow, this person's really good. I'm going to keep watching this person. That's the circle of life. It's why Mike Tyson was the best celebrity used by WWE on it, not because Tyson was so good, but because they used him to make Steve Austin a megastar.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it led up to a tag match between Cena and Becky Lynch versus Andrade Cien Almas, Lena Vega.
Yeah, and that would be interesting as well. So, because then you have some more stuff, and at the very least, it's one plus that Cena and Bryan both seem to be doing, where they're trying to make people stars who deserve to be stars.
Is it just me, or I mean, that was a good match. Cool how it ended with Becky Lynch getting the win, but is it just me, or does it seem like there was some sexual tension being built between Cena and Becky Lynch?
I don't know if it would be on this one, because the big problem with making sexual tension between Cena and Lynch would be the fact that if you do that, you'd basically be saying the same marriage plot bullshit that you don't really want to do in cases like this, and was possibly a problem with the Nikki Bella stuff on it, where you book her as a star, you book her as a big threat, then the hero marries her, and that's the end of her story forever. She can go off and be a housewife. And that's not what you want with Becky Lynch, because, again, this is the first time we have a chance for the woman to be the top star in it.
Right.
And honestly, I don't know what you do in this case. I don't know if you recalibrate so that the women's division is booked as important as the men's division, so Becky can be the star. I don't know if you put her with a top man and have those things happen. I don't know if you even do the ballsy move and say, okay, the next Universal or WWE champion is Becky Lynch. But it's going to be very unprecedented going forward here. She's
I think if you did the next Universal champion being Becky Lynch, that would cause a shit fit with the internet.
That I could possibly see, but it's kind of weird because, again, like we said, Becky Lynch hasn't been that good on the mic or that good on Twitter. 90% of what Becky Lynch is being good on Twitter has been is she says something, she shuts down someone on it, and all the Becky fanboys say, "Yes, Queen, slay!"
Right. I mean, well, the jury will be out. I'm almost thinking on Raw next Monday, Cena's going to do something with Rousey.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying how it ended with Cena trying to congratulate Lynch and Lynch doing the "You Can't See Me," and it just seemed like, to me, just how they were interacting with each other, it seemed less like, you know, she's trying to compete with Cena and take a spot. It seemed less like that and more kind of flirtatious, like, oh, you know, I'm in competition with you, but that's where I come with the whole sexual tension thing.
Yeah, but honestly,
I don't really see like that. Like, I don't really feel like they were going for that aspect. I think it was more like, I guess, well, I don't know what it was, but I don't.
Well, I'm not saying they're going to make out next week. I'm saying it's going to be a slow burn. Could be a slow burn for the full year for all we know.
Yeah.
If they go in that
honestly, I don't see it like that, simply because it's not just a John Cena Becky Lynch thing, but a fact that pretty much all of the women's tag teams or mixed tag teams have a little bit of flirtatious and interest to them, and it's not really total sexual tension on it. And it's very rare you have even stuff like, say, for example, Asuka and The Miz, where the whole reason it works so well is one's a face and one's a heel, but they happen to know they work well together. They happen to be good friends. They see it as a complete business partnership and work because they work well together. And The Miz's wife, in turn, sees it as, okay, they're just friends and business partners. I have no jealousy towards Asuka in the very least. And that's actually a very mature and perfectly straightforward tag team. And that's why it works so well on Mixed Match Challenge.
And yet the Miz is turning face right now.
Yeah. But
you're right. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, and that's weird because it's not just things like this where there's always been that sort of thing where if you have two people in a tag team, there's always that undercurrent of they totally fucking yo, and that's something they need to get rid of. They need to show that a man and a woman can be just friends on TV, and that it's perfectly natural if a man and a woman are just friends.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Worse on it when you consider that they can't even show that a woman and a woman can be just friends, or a man and a man can just be just friends.
They showed a woman and a woman can be just friends, Sasha and Bailey.
Yeah, but it's also, that's my point on this one, where think of it this way. How many acts that are allies in the WWE today can you truly say are even friends enough so that if one of them turned on the other, it would genuinely hurt the other person who got turned on? I can only think of a few that would work like that, which are just, you can tell that they're friends in more than just a professional sense, and they actually care about each other as people. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, The New Day, The Iconics, Sasha and Bailey. That's pretty much it.
What about a few months down the road? What about Miz and Shane a few months down the road?
I don't know off the top of my head there, so. But really, those 4 acts are the only ones where it feels like if one of them turned on the other one, the other person would be deeply hurt by that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that. I just was pointing out Miz and Shane, but for all we know, they could, Miz could turn on Shane, or they could go with your idea that we're going to get face Miz versus heel Danielson.
Yeah. And it could work on these ones, and then you go into Triple H trying to see if Asuka had any idea who should get a title shot at them. And that's also a weird thing on it, where you have Charlotte saying Rousey's the only reason she's not champion, Becky saying she's the only option for champion, Carmella saying she's the only option because she was champion for a long time.
I was waiting for R-Truth to show up and want a shot at the women's title.
That would actually work on it. And yet, from all these ones, you also have the case of, wait a second, where the hell was Sonya Deville in that statement? She just won against Naomi. She's been taking Asuka to the limit for weeks. She beat Charlotte and Becky a couple weeks ago with an absolute win. Where was she?
Did you notice Deville used Hiroki Goto's finisher?
Yeah, Elevator. Yep.
Yeah, and is it just weird? Did it seem like Triple H was talking to Asuka like she was a child?
I don't know off that one, but really it's likely because every NXT person is Triple H's kid, so.
Fair enough.
And then you have the main event of it, where 5-way match. AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, Mustafa Ali, and Rey Mysterio.
They did very good to make Ali look strong in this match.
Yeah, but it was kind of disappointing on it, where you have the goal of the new era, and you have AJ Styles get the title shot. Because
maybe they're going to hint at, here's some food for thought. What if, the whole motivation from Vince McMahon, dare I say it, maybe they're going to channel Styles teaming with Ric Flair and TNA, except he's going to be teaming with Vince here?
I don't really think so, because AJ Styles clearly has the conch shell on it. In the last year on SmackDown, they turned Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Daniel Bryan heel to accommodate Styles. He's clearly got the conch shell as the top babyface.
Fair enough.
But it's still, what I was saying is that this is the Royal Rumble we're talking about. This is the type of time where you say, okay, let's take a leap of faith with a mid-carder and see if they have what it takes to fight the world champion here. This is the right time to say, you know what, the storyline's been working well. Fuck it. Mustafa Ali versus Daniel Bryan for the title at the Rumble.
And that's what I thought was going to happen. I mean, when Ali was taking everyone's finisher, I thought somehow he would sneak in and do a roll-up, a surprise roll-up on, say, Randy Orton, and that would be how he'd get a title shot.
Yeah. And that would probably be the good one. So.
And then, to keep him strong at the Royal Rumble, don't have Danielson beat him clean. Have Orton RKO him. Then you got Ali feuding with Orton, and Orton could give Ali a hell of a rub.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And those would be the good ways to do it, so.
It was nice having Mysterio versus Mustafa Ali, and I'd love to see that match on SmackDown. I'd love to see a one-on-one between them.
Yeah. And that would be excellent because again, Ali's quickly become one of the best high flyers in the world. So
you know, when we were watching on Thanksgiving the Survivor Series 1990, and
yeah,
I don't know if it was you or Andy, but one of you were bringing up something about how they seen Bret Hart. Look at how well Bret Hart was doing this quick little skirmish with Ted DiBiase. How that gave the WWE confidence to have Bret as a future main event star. Well, when I saw that segment with Ali versus Mysterio, I saw similarities to that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that as well because it looks like they know what they have as a top babyface with Mustafa Ali, and that's all so much the better. So,
right.
So,
I think they should actually give him the title this year sometime.
That would be incredibly interesting on it if they did that one because there's a lot of guys on 205 Live who deserve the call up, and it wasn't just Ali on that one. Like, if
Kendrick get a call back up.
Well, right now I think the people who most deserve the call up would be Mustafa Ali, Cedric Alexander, Buddy Murphy, maybe call up Drew Gulak as well. So. But those four guys are the ones who absolutely deserve the call.
Right.
So now we go into the thing that everyone's talking about, and that'll start in about a few hours, of the Wrestle Kingdom 13. And we have a big one that's about a lot of changes here for it. And this is going to be very interesting to see what happens. We have the pre-show match, which is going to be a gauntlet match for the #1 contenders to the Never Open Weight 6-Man Tag Team Championship. And that will have Togi Mikage, Toru Yano, and Ryusuke Taguchi up against Yuji Nagata, Jeff Cobb, and David Finlay, up against Chaos of Hiroki Goto, Beretta, and Chuck Taylor, up against Suzuki-gun of Minoru Suzuki, Lance Archer, and Davey Boy Smith Jr., up against the Elite of Hangman Page, Yujiro Takahashi, and Marty Scurll. Thoughts of who's winning?
Personally, I'd love to see the comedy team of Yano, Makabe, and who was the third one?
Taguchi.
I'd love to see them win it somehow.
Yeah, and they usually.
We're gonna go with predictions. I'm gonna predict that it's gonna be Suzuki-gun winning it.
Yeah, I could see that happening on it, and it's going to be interesting of them because it's clear New Japan's in upheaval on this one, and because of the upheaval, you know there's going to be changes going around. Like, you know that the Elite isn't winning because Hangman Page won't be there tomorrow, so you know that's happening.
Right.
Which also ties into the other thing that happened this week. Our long national nightmare is officially over. The All Elite Wrestling has been announced, and they've announced their first event is the All Elite Wrestling banner, Double or Nothing.
What's the date? What's the city?
They haven't announced the city yet, but they have announced that on January 8th, they're going to have a big rally at the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium to announce more information about Double or Nothing.
Oh, God, come to Tampa or Orlando, please.
Yes. Right now, all that's known on it is they've got Tony Khan putting $100 million into AEW. They've got
if I win Mega Millions, I will bring an AEW show to my hometown.
Yeah. They've got stories so far that they've got TV networks interested in them, but they haven't announced any information there. They've already announced
Nickelodeon.
Yep, they've already announced for things on it. They've got about 12 arenas that are friendly with them that they have friended on Twitter, and so there are likely going to be some places they go to for that.
So January 8th will be a press conference.
Yeah, January 8th will be a press conference at the Jaguars Stadium. So it looks
like it's a work. It looks like it's on.
Yeah, and they've already announced today that it's not a work, where they've announced that so far the Young Bucks will be booking. the executive producer will be Cody Rhodes, and Brandy Rhodes will be booking the women's division. They've already announced that signing with them are Cody, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Page, and SoCal Uncensored of Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky. And they announced that Britt Baker is signed as the first woman to the division. So they have announced that, yes, they will have a women's division. So they did not learn by New Japan, because fuck New Japan so hard for not having it.
New Japan hasn't had, but Tommy, like, Japan has different women's feds.
Well, of course.
Separate women's feds and separate men's feds. They've always been like that.
I know, but it's still something where you've got to figure that there are some big problems on this one where, first off, you can work with a women's fed and give them some shine as well to get some people there on it. And even if you do, there is something wrong when the only women in the promotion are Miho Abe, Tokyo Latina, and Brandy Rhodes. And no one has a problem with them just hiring eye candy valets.
And yet, this is the same country that had a 9-year-old beat the current New Japan Wrestling champion on a show.
Of course. So it is weird on this one, and I can see the problem on it where, yes, there is a case where you need to support women's wrestling and promotions and try to get them to the level of All Japan Women's in the 80s or so, but keep in mind that context is key. They're never going to get to All Japan Women levels ever again, and it's because social justice marched on to the point they wouldn't do it. If you remember that in context...
Is social justice really a big deal in Japan, though?
Well, keep in mind, here's the reason why it is. In the 1980s, when All Japan Women was so big and had such big names like the Crush Girls, the Beauty Pair, all the stars like that on it.
Matsumoto, the Jumping Bomb Angels.
Yeah. When they had that...
I believe Patricia McKelly showed up there, too.
Yeah. Yeah. But when they had that one, this promotion was basically an idol promotion engineered to teenage girls. And it was able to be done because in context in the 1980s, some people in Japan thought, oh, being a lesbian is just a phase. You'll have crushes on girls in high school, but then when you go to college or graduate, you'll find a boyfriend or a husband and get over it.
Did they really think that back then?
Yeah, that was very common thoughts at the time. But now, in the modern era...
Was there a lot of these overtones in the animes, too?
Oh, yeah. Like, if you have stuff like Gunbuster, things like that, a lot of the two-girl friendships you have were totally... Yeah, it's totally romantic there.
Did you see that in Gunsmith Cats or not?
I believe they said that, yes, one of the people in Gunsmith Cats was openly gay, so...
Out of the two heroines, one of them was gay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was very common at the time, and it was, and even a lot of the other ones had stuff where a girl openly had a crush on another girl, and it was seen, oh, it's just a phase, it's nothing abnormal. But as social justice marched on, people realized that queerness is perfectly normal. You're born that way, and if you have a crush on a girl in high school, you probably may end up being a lesbian, and that's perfectly fine. And so, because of that, you don't need a company like All Japan Women at that time, because All Japan Women existed as an idol promotion to give high school girls safe women that they could have a crush on without having to be a problem. Like instead of having a crush on one of the girls in high school and having a chance at it, you could just have a crush on one of the All Japan Women's wrestlers. Hell, that's probably why they named them the Crush Gals.
There was an anime. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was an anime. Was it called Dirty Pair? That was based on the Beauty Pair. Which one came first?
The Beauty Pair obviously came first. So
okay, so Dirty Pair was the anime that was a ripoff of the Dirty, or Dirty Pair was the anime that was a ripoff of the Beauty Pair.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I remember seeing a few episodes of the anime, and I thought it was badass.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty interesting for the time.
I need to go back and finish watching that. I think I only watched like about 5 episodes, but I need to finish watching that. It's I did not know that about All Japan Women's Wrestling. I mean, I know there was a joke about how they used to sell it they used to sell it as softcore porn.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre. I mean, they called it like Slant-Eyed Slaughter, which really sounds wrong if you look at it now.
Oh, hell yes. That is...
Good Lord.
Get the Ranma sign for the people who made that.
No, I mean, someone, it was in a newspaper, they advertised it as that.
Yeah. I know you said it because on that one, but that was...
I didn't say that. I'm saying the newspaper did.
I know. You said the newspaper said that. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was... that is bad.
There is no way in hell that would fly these days.
Yeah.
God, no.
Mm-hmm.
But... So you're insinuating that you think social justice has gone so far that it would, I didn't think, is there a social justice movement in Japan too?
There's always, it's not just, doesn't matter if there's a social justice movement as much as people's image of gay and lesbian relationships is far different than it was in the 1970s and 1980s when All Japan was at its peak. And that is important for this one because you're not going to see a promotion like Stardom or Ice Ribbon or one of them get to the same level that All Japan Women was, simply because, one, you're not going to see anything with them going because the birth rate in Japan is declining so much, and that's also a thing, but mostly also the fact that, no, if a woman has a crush on another woman, people think that is perfectly natural and perfectly fine now. So,
it's funny you bring that up about the birth rate of Japan because there's an article that just came out talking about how in 2017 there was the fewest babies born in America in a long time, and they were talking about America could go the way of Japan in a few years because of that.
Yeah.
So it's funny you bring that up. Where does, you're going to talk about, like, there were these, you're going to talk about, like, all the, it's safe, these idols are safe to love for, women that could be gay. Where does, like, American promotions like Glow back then fit into all this? Was gay overtones there too?
Well, there wasn't gay overtones in Glow because if you really think about it, Glow was very similar to the WWE at the time on it, where it was a sports entertainment promotion. It was kind of variety show first and wrestling second.
Right.
You inherently accepted that you were watching a variety show more than a wrestling match.
It'll be interesting to see the women's wrestling show that's going to come on Access TV in a couple weeks. It's from the producers of Glow. I wonder if they're going to do it like a variety show like Glow was.
Probably, because we saw with the original Women of Wrestling and Powerful Women of Wrestling and every single promotion that David McLean's put out that he only really has one gear, and you go with that and you kind of expect what you're getting.
Yeah, I was going to say, was that Power Women's Wrestling? Was that the one that had Carmen Electra as a figure?
No, that was the Naked Women's Wrestling League.
Oh, okay.
Which was exactly what it said on the tin.
Okay.
But those women consented to the fans seeing them naked, and that's all that matters.
What?
But at least those women consented to the fans seeing them naked, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I mean, damn. So, okay. Going on.
Yeah. So continuing with the actual main show matches this year, you have Never Openweight Championship, Kota Ibushi versus Will Ospreay. And again, this is one of those problems where it could go either way and it should go either way, but the fact that Ibushi's in with the elite guys and he is a freelancer means there's always that question, is he going to be there tomorrow? And that leads to the question, it could be Ospreay, could be Ibushi. What we can
Kota goes over.
Yeah. It's going to be an awesome match nonetheless because that just sounds good.
You there?
Yep. You have Suzuki-gun of Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado versus Roppongi 3K versus LIJ of Bushi and Shingo Takagi for the IWGP Junior Championship. And
Roppongi will go over.
Yeah, that seems like the right one on it, because that just seems like you can tell one of them is the big one and the others aren't. You have the British Heavyweight Championship, which of course is basically the Revolution Pro Wrestling's Heavyweight Championship between Tomohiro Ishii and Zack Sabre Jr.
I'm gonna predict Sabre Jr. gets the belt.
Yeah, that seems like the most likely one, especially since this is effectively an RPW match that's on the card, so it seems likely that they give the belt back to Sabre Jr. here. You have the IWGP Tag Titles on the line, and this is going to be hard to think of, or not hard to think of either way, because you've got LIJ of Sonata and Evil versus the Young Bucks of Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson versus the Gorillas of Destiny of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. And obviously, there's no doubt in my mind that Sonata and Evil are winning this match, because we know the Young Bucks won't be here tomorrow, and there's a good chance that Tonga and Loa won't be here tomorrow either.
Why won't they be there tomorrow? I thought they were in New Japan.
Well, anyone who's friends with the Elite and allied in that Bullet Club family on it, like even the...
Well, they're going against each other.
Yeah.
They're going against each other in New Japan.
Yeah, but just because they're going against each other doesn't mean they're not friends. We know that, so okay. There is that fighting chance that the Gorillas of Destiny go to All Elite Wrestling as well.
That would be pretty badass.
Yeah. Yep. Remember, if this is the Gorillas of Destiny being big enough that they managed to make Camacho's ass look good, then that should say how good that team is. Because, man, Camacho sucked. IWGP US Championship on the line is pretty much straightforward, as Juice Robinson sends Cody out on his back, and we kind of know that's happening.
Yep.
And then we have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, and this is also going to be more interesting than it could be because of other things on it, where you have Kushida taking on Taiji Ishimori, and this one could go either way, but it's not a guarantee, but not just because of All Elite Wrestling, but because the hot rumors say that WWE is trying to poach Kushida, so...
I hope they don't.
I don't know, because Kushida does love America. He loves working in America whenever he gets the chance to. And Kushida's gimmick of he is literally Marty McFly in a pro wrestling ring is one that's very easy to translate to America.
He started out in Canada, got trained in Canada, right?
I believe so, but...
Did Lance Storm train him?
Let me check. That's one of the pluses of reading them off Wikipedia, so you can find out the answers very quickly. And apparently he was trained he went to Mexico and Canada to learn Lucha Libre under Oriental in Aztec Budokan, but it didn't say he learned to train in Canada with.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very likely that he'd probably click pretty well in America for it, because he worked with Time Splitters with Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, so he knows American style. He worked a lot in America, and his gimmick would translate incredibly well.
Right.
So it could be Kushida, but it could be Ishimori as well, so I don't know.
What's the news of Hiromu Takahashi? Is he close to coming back?
At the last time he said he was 77.3% healed, so I don't know off the top of my head if he was working or if he was doing anything else, but he should.
They might, you know what I mean, and they might have Kushida win this, and if Kushida does go to WWE, it would be perfect for Hiromu Takahashi to get the title back. and send Kushida on his way.
Yeah, or at the very, but I don't think that Hiromu's even close to being that ready yet with it. So that seems like an out for a year thing.
Okay.
Okada versus Jay White in a singles match, and that's a question mark there as well. Not because of who it is, but I could see either guy winning.
Jay White's gonna win it to keep him strong.
Yeah. Plus, it looks like Jay White's probably going to be like Kenny Omega in the face of the expansion to Australia. So,
right. You mean New Zealand?
Well, that general area.
Yeah. Yeah, Oceania.
From there too. So.
Yeah. You've got the no disqualification match for the Intercontinental Championship. That's probably going to be Tetsuya Naito beating Chris Jericho for the belt. So,
yeah,
and all signs have said that Jericho is part of the All Elite Wrestling show. So,
yep.
And then the main event is Kenny Omega versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, and this match also included the Undertale guys making a thing for Omega for it. This one didn't get through on this one, but it does make it likely that Omega is going to get dunked on by Tanahashi.
What happened? Undertales? Explain that.
The video game Undertale's makers made an entrance for Kenny Omega that was supposed to be done, but New Japan refused to let him do it.
So they loaded it on. So they put it on the
Undertales
channel.
Undertale is a very popular independent video game. So,
is that the game that's like Earthbound?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh wow!
The guy who made it originally did a ROM hack of Earthbound.
Mm-hmm.
It was called the Halloween. Hack? Pardon me?
What was the Earthbound hack that he did?
It was called the Halloween hack.
Oh, I've played that. Yeah, that's badass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, the game is very good, and Omega get the guys who made it to make him a special one for the Tanahashi thing, but he couldn't use it, so he loaded it online.
Why couldn't he use it?
Because it was kind of controversial for Tanahashi, and basically was using some things on it. So,
what was controversial?
Most controversial thing about it was that he claimed that Tanahashi had the New Japan president in his back pocket.
Oh, did they have Omega dressed like Ness or something?
Well, he was basically a sprite going after Tanahashi. So.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think in that match, I'm going to predict that Tanahashi finishes his arc and becomes the champ again.
Yeah, I could see it happening because Omega also has the question where we don't know what's going to happen with him.
Here's what could happen. Either one or two things is going to happen. Mm-hmm. Number one, Omega retains and he keeps the title for a full year, and this year will be all about making Kota Ibushi strong, leading to the Battle of the Golden Lovers in 2020, where Ibushi beats Omega. Or Tanahashi wins, and the Golden Lovers become the tag champs sometime in the year 2019, and we still might get to the year being all about building up Ibushi.
I'm not talking about that one because there's a lot of rumors right now swirling on Omega. Does he go to All Elite Wrestling? Does he sign with WWE? What does he do on this case? So there will be the question mark where we don't know whether he'll be here tomorrow, or if he isn't there tomorrow, where he's going. If he's going to AEW or WWE.
Probably, well, you were talking about like Japan's his dream job and his dream gig. Why would he leave that? But though he said in interviews before that if he leaves New Japan, he wants to leave New Japan where there's not a gap if he leaves.
Yeah. And
then on top
really going to be the question because, again, like we said before on this one, Omega seems like a chill enough guy who cares a lot about his work-life balance. And if he went to WWE, it would be what price would it be to go from the job you love to a job that you hated? Even even though Omega said most of his problems were with Bill DeMott and he loved to wrestle a lot of guys who work in WWE, that would be the question mark. Though there is
go to WWE rather than AEW. That would make no sense.
Well, the rumor is that he's got a huge offer on the table from WWE. And by huge, it probably means somewhere in the 7 figures a year.
I'd be scared of him. I'd be scared of him going to WWE because I just think WWE would. I just think WWE would fuck it up somehow.
Well, yeah, but at least there's the plus of the fact that we know that WWE probably wouldn't know how to run Kenny Omega, but we know that they know how to run guys like Kenny Omega. Because really, if you think about it, Kenny Omega in WWE would be Xavier Woods if he could wrestle like Seth Rollins.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And you can buy that WWE probably could be able to do something with that, so...
I personally hope he stays in Japan.
Me too on this one, because right now, I see the most likely one is All Elite Wrestling gets to work with New Japan, and they can keep Omega, but he can stay in Japan.
If All Elite gets to work with New Japan, then surely the Bucks would stay and Cody would stay too.
Well, of course, and that would be interesting as well.
And if you want to talk about New Japan trying to go global, and if you want to talk about New Japan trying to take over the world, that would behoove them well.
Yeah. And it would also help on these ones where you have the bonus of, if they did, considering they're trying to get the women's division, that would fix the New Japan problem of just saying, okay, All Elite Wrestling's women's champion is recognized as the New Japan women's champion. Works.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that also helps on it.
Because so maybe, just maybe, these matches are not all etched in stone.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting as well. So, but that's going to be the most interesting part.
Where did you hear about Kenny having like a big offer on the table, or did he come out and say that?
Apparently, Meltzer's the one saying it. So,
because everything Uncle Dave says is true.
Well, everything Uncle Dave says isn't true, but we can safely say by now that Dave Meltzer probably has sources who are Elite members. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Bucks and Omega are openly his sources. So if Meltzer's saying that Omega has a big offer on the table, it would not shock me if Kenny Omega himself told Meltzer that he has this offer on the table.
Well, I mean, the Bucks and Omega, they're like the new hip indie kids, just like 10 or 15 years ago was CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and Samoa Joe. Mm-hmm. And I remember I went on a diatribe a few weeks ago about how once upon a time it was ECW and how we dreamed of how cool it would be the ECW guys getting the WWF, WWE, and a lot of them fizzled. Then it was like 10 years ago, we dreamed about the ROH guys coming to WWE, and a lot of them fizzled. It's going to be the same old story, song and dance. I hate to say it, and I'll be that guy that says it, but if a lot of the Elite gang come to WWE, they're going to fizzle. There's going to be a lot of them that fizzle too.
Yeah, but in defense, we also have the case that, at least with the Elite, we've seen the case where with ECW, there wasn't a lot of the guys who were good enough to do well outside ECW. Like, you had guys, you wouldn't consider Chris Jericho or Eddie Guerrero or Rey Mysterio ECW guys. You definitely wouldn't consider Steve Austin an ECW guy.
No.
So, but you still had Rob Van Dam make it to the top.
Yeah.
And Rob Van Dam was probably the only can't-miss ECW guy out there. And then you had the Dudley Boys, who were a can't-miss tag team in ECW, who became one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
But we were talking about Bitch Boy Bobby and how he was a can't-miss prospect and somehow they missed. That's all the more reason you got to be a little worried.
Yeah, but that's also the case where the more and more time on it when you have it, the more and more blue-chip prospects are there. Same with Ring of Honor, where CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and Samoa Joe all made it to the main event scene in WWE, but you have guys like, say, Sami Callihan or or people like Harper who didn't make it to the main event scene on it.
Roderick Strong.
Well, Roderick Strong's in NXT, so I'm not going to consider him as a failure until we see it.
Okay.
Sometimes you have guys like Austin Aries who seem to be can't miss and miss, but then you have guys like Tyler Black who seem to be a guy who fail in the main roster and ended up becoming a big star for him.
Right.
Yeah. Of course, we saw Austin Aries basically take a 12 gauge to his foot.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's really the point where the more time it goes, the more these blue chip prospects succeed. And the New Japan thing is a very good one because look at what they've given WWE so far. So Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles had a WrestleMania World title match. AJ Styles is the face of the company. Finn Balor's become a top star in the company.
AJ Styles is more of the TNA ace.
Yeah. But then, even then, you've still got Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura became top stars.
Right.
Gallows and Anderson kind of failed, but in defense there, they tried to do well with them, but upon closer inspection, they realized that Luke Gallows was Luke Gallows. So,
well, how could they fail if they won the tag titles?
Well, because you thought that this team was going to be the face of the tag team picture, and they won the tag titles, but they were kind of forgettable.
Going back to the New Japan show, I noticed Marty Scurll isn't booked for it.
No, he's booked. He's part of this elite team of Hangman Page, Yujiro Takahashi, and Marty Scurll.
All right, cool.
Yeah. But it does go with this one, and that'll be the difference for the elite because with Cody and Omega, there's a chance they get to the top. The only ones who wouldn't would be the Young Bucks, and that's because at least the Young Bucks seem to know that there is no way that WWE can pay them what their market value is right now. So, and they're aware of that because even if you paid the Young Bucks enough money to get them to jump, which would probably be 7 figures apiece, both sides are pretty much aware that all they'd be in the main roster is the New Day. And that's if they succeeded amazingly.
Right.
So with each of them, it goes to Cody would probably succeed if Vince McMahon and Triple H are willing to eat crow. And we know that from a lot of times that both guys are perfectly happy, are the type of guys who would say to Cody when he came back and said, I said you weren't a main eventer and you did this. I've never been so happy to be wrong in my life. Welcome back. And with Omega, it would be, how much does it cost to get him to jump ship? And they'd need to have a Gail Kim level. I want to stay. I badly want to stay, but this number is so high, I'd be a fool to pass it up. So I'm sorry, but I have to go. And the Bucks on it, both sides know that it is physically and literally impossible for the Bucks to be worth the amount it would take to bring him in.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So really, that's what it looks like for Wrestle Kingdom, and it's going to happen in about an hour. So if you're on New Japan World, it's a good thing to start up now. So. Yep.
I'm going to watch it later tonight on Access.
Yep. And with that in mind, we bid you adieu. For Whacked Out Wrestling, I'm Thomas S.K. Green.
We bid you adieu, and we say goodbye.
And good night.
Bang!